Tiffany Henyard's political journey in Dalton, Illinois, has taken an unexpected and dramatic turn. Once seen as a promising figure in local politics, she now finds herself caught in a scandal of epic proportions, one that has shaken the small town to its core and left the community in complete disbelief. Henyard, who controversially juggled two political roles, serving as mayor of Dalton while allegedly holding an undisclosed position in another town, was arrested by the FBI during a city council meeting, charged with embezzling $2 million in public funds. This arrest is not just another sensational story. It marks the climax of months of whispers, controversy, and eroding trust. Speculation about financial misconduct and corruption had been swirling around Henyard for a while, but the discovery of her alleged theft has stunned even her fiercest detractors. It's not just about missing funds, it's a massive betrayal of the public's trust. Henyard had promised to rejuvenate Dalton, vowing to fix the town's decaying infrastructure and invest in vital services. Instead, the accusations suggest she used taxpayer money for personal indulgence, leaving the town in dire financial straits. The scandal has grown even more explosive with reports that Henyard used the stolen funds to finance a lavish lifestyle, spending on expensive shopping, sprees, extravagant vacations, and luxury items. The very money that was meant to repair roads, improve the water system, and support essential services was allegedly siphoned into her personal bank account. For Dalton's residents, the betrayal is gut-wrenching. One angry local expressed their frustration. "She should be fixing our streets, not stuffing her pockets." The town is reeling. Once a peaceful village, Dalton now finds itself in chaos, as residents face the harsh reality that their elected leader may have used their trust to line her own pockets. With the FBI now involved, the scandal is escalating. Every new revelation paints a picture of a carefully orchestrated plan to drain public funds for personal enrichment. As investigators dive deeper, it's clear that this wasn't a one-time incident. Henyard's alleged financial misdeeds seem to be part of a broader pattern of corruption. Her political career, once hailed as a beacon of change, now symbolizes everything wrong with Dalton's local government. Anger is boiling over among residents. Many who once believed in her now feel utterly betrayed. "We trusted her to make things better," one person said. "And this is the result?" But just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, Henyard made a shocking announcement. Despite facing overwhelming legal challenges, she still plans to run for re-election. This move has sparked widespread outrage. How could she ask for another term after allegedly stealing from the very people who trusted her? One furious citizen put it bluntly, "She's robbing us blind and still wants our votes? This is insane." And the drama doesn't end there. In an even more bizarre twist, Henyard is facing eviction. Despite earning a six-figure salary as mayor, she has reportedly failed to pay rent on her property since August. Her landlord, Janetta Ho, has taken legal action to evict her, adding another blow to Henyard's already tarnished reputation. This revelation only deepens the controversy, raising a glaring question. If Henyard can't even manage her own finances, how could she be trusted to handle the town's? The situation gets even worse with reports that Henyard has changed the locks on the property, blocking her landlord from proceeding with the eviction. This brazen act has only cemented the belief that she is completely out of touch with reality, unwilling to take responsibility for her actions. The same pattern of personal and political mismanagement that has come to define her term in office now seems to be leading her to even darker waters. The people of Dalton are seething with anger. Many are demanding to know how someone accused of such blatant wrongdoing is still holding office. If Henyard can't even handle her own financial responsibilities, how can she be trusted to manage taxpayer money? Every new detail further erodes the public's trust, leaving residents to wonder just how deep the corruption really goes. Yet instead of stepping aside, Henyard is doubling down. She presses forward with her political ambitions, despite the mounting evidence and public backlash. This move is seen as a desperate attempt to hold on to power, showing just how detached she has become from the reality of her situation. Once seen as a beacon of hope for Dalton, she is now regarded as the embodiment of everything wrong with the town's leadership. What started as questionable decisions has now snowballed into a full-blown crisis. The town's infrastructure is crumbling, essential services are underfunded, and the trust in local leadership has been shattered. The FBI is still investigating Henyard's financial dealings, and many believe the worst is yet to be uncovered. With each passing day, the case against her grows stronger, and the threat of severe legal consequences looms larger. The road to recovery for Dalton will be long and difficult. The damage Henyard has done runs deep, and it will take years to restore faith in the local government. Many residents are struggling to face the harsh truth that the very person they elected to improve their town may have exploited her position for personal gain. Despite her insistence on running for re-election, Henyard's chances of regaining power are rapidly dwindling. The public's anger is growing, and her reputation is irreparably tarnished. The people of Dalton demand accountability, and it seems increasingly unlikely she will escape the consequences of her actions as the FBI investigation continues and more details surface. One thing is clear. Tiffany Henyard's political career is hanging by a thread. What was once a hopeful rise to power has turned into a spectacle of corruption, mismanagement, and scandal. The people of Dalton are left to pick up the pieces of a community in crisis, wondering if their town will ever recover from the damage she has caused. As the story continues to unfold, the critical question remains: will Henyard be held accountable for her actions, or will Dalton remain trapped in a cycle of corruption? Stay tuned for the latest updates on this shocking political drama. The fallout is far from over, and the truth behind Dalton's most significant scandal is still being uncovered. Tiffany Henyard's political journey in Dalton, Illinois, has taken a jaw-dropping and scandalous turn. Once viewed as a rising star in local politics, she now finds herself at the center of a controversy that has left the town both outraged and disillusioned. Henyard, who simultaneously held two political roles, mayor of Dalton and an undisclosed position in another municipality, was arrested by the FBI during a city council meeting, facing accusations of embezzling a staggering $2 million in public funds. This arrest is just the latest chapter in a long history of turmoil surrounding Henyard. For months, rumors of corruption and financial mismanagement had been swirling around her administration, but the news of outright theft has shocked even her most vocal critics. This scandal isn't just about stolen taxpayer money, it's a flagrant betrayal of public trust. For years, Henyard promised to revitalize the town, fix its crumbling infrastructure, and improve public services. Instead, she allegedly used those very funds for personal gain, leaving Dalton in financial chaos. What makes this controversy even more explosive is the claim that Henyard used the stolen money to fund an extravagant lifestyle. Luxury vacations, expensive items, and personal indulgences. While Dalton's streets continued to deteriorate, water systems remained in disrepair, and essential services faltered. The very funds meant to improve the lives of Dalton's residents were allegedly diverted into her own pockets, fueling the community's outrage. For many, the betrayal is deeply personal. One resident voiced the frustration felt by so many, saying, "She should be fixing our roads, not lining her pockets." The news has sent shockwaves throughout the town. Once a quiet community, Dalton now finds itself in the national spotlight, facing the reality that the very leader they trusted to guide them forward used her power for personal enrichment. The FBI's involvement has only escalated the situation, with new revelations emerging daily about the scale of the alleged fraud. Reports suggest Henyard's embezzlement wasn't just a one-time act of greed, but part of a carefully orchestrated scheme to funnel public money for her benefit. Her once promising political career is now a symbol of the corruption that has long plagued Dalton's government. The fury among Dalton residents has reached an unprecedented level. Those who once rallied behind Henyard now feel deeply betrayed. A lifelong resident put it simply, "We put our trust in her to make our lives better. And this is what we get in return?" But the true shock has come with Henyard's audacious announcement that she intends to run for re-election, despite the mounting evidence against her. This decision has ignited widespread disbelief. Many residents are questioning how Henyard can even think of asking for their votes after allegedly stealing from them. One enraged citizen pointed out, "How can she even consider running again after everything she's done? She's still robbing us while pretending to serve us." Henyard's political future is in freefall, and it seems things are only getting worse. She now faces a lawsuit for eviction, with her landlord, Janetta Ho, taking legal action after Henyard allegedly failed to pay rent for months. Despite earning a six-figure salary as mayor, Henyard's inability to manage her personal finances only adds fuel to the fire. This revelation further tarnishes her already damaged reputation and paints a picture of a leader completely out of touch with reality. Reports even suggest that Henyard went as far as changing the locks on her property to block her eviction, reinforcing the perception that she believes she is above the rules. This reckless behavior mirrors the broader corruption and incompetence that has plagued her time in office. The public is beginning to lose faith not only in Henyard, but in the entire local government structure that allowed her to remain in power for so long. Many now question, if she can't even pay her own rent, how can she be trusted to manage the finances of an entire town? As the FBI investigation continues, more members of Henyard's inner circle are distancing themselves from her, recognizing that she is no longer a political asset, but a liability. Yet, despite overwhelming opposition, Henyard refuses to step down. Instead, she doubles down on her narrative, positioning herself as a victim of a political conspiracy rather than acknowledging the harm she has caused. Her desperation to maintain control has led to more erratic behavior. One particularly bizarre incident involved Henyard calling the police to arrest workers who were simply removing promotional banners from city property, accusing them of stealing government property. This move highlighted her growing paranoia, an obsession with protecting her image rather than serving the needs of the community. Those present described her behavior as alarming, with one worker remarking, "She seemed more focused on saving her own reputation than actually doing her job." Henyard's isolation from Dalton's leadership has only deepened. In another striking example, a township supervisor called a special meeting to approve funding for events Henyard had requested. But when the meeting took place, not a single trustee showed up. The abandonment of her agenda sent a clear message. Her allies were no longer standing by her. Public meetings that once aimed to discuss solutions for Dalton's deteriorating infrastructure and financial crisis have devolved into chaotic spectacles, filled with shouting, walkouts, and even police involvement. Henyard seems more interested in turning these events into personal battles than focusing on the real issues facing Dalton's residents. One of her most controversial moves was appointing an unqualified individual as police chief, a blatant attempt to consolidate power. When confronted with criticism, Henyard dismissed concerns as jealousy and refused to acknowledge the potential dangers of her decision. Instead of listening to the people she was elected to serve, she has chosen to deflect, dismiss, and ignore. As time passes, Henyard's behavior grows even more erratic. Federal investigations are underway, with authorities reportedly interviewing witnesses. While the full scope of the investigation remains unclear, the threat of criminal charges looms large. In a desperate attempt to defend herself, Henyard took to Facebook Live for a 90-minute rant against her critics. Instead of garnering sympathy, her broadcast further damaged her already fragile public image. She even went so far as to threaten to have anyone who opposed her arrested, a move that shocked viewers and raised further concerns about her growing authoritarian tendencies. One resident summed it up bluntly. Threatening to jail people just for disagreeing with her? That's not leadership. That's desperation. As the scandal deepens, Henyard has increasingly alienated not only her political opponents, but even her once loyal supporters. The frustration and disillusionment in Dalton are growing, and the community's trust in her leadership is all but gone. Yet, Henyard remains defiant, insisting she will win re-election. In a recent council meeting, she boldly declared, "I'm coming in strong. The people know the truth, and they will stand by me." When comparing herself to former President Donald Trump, she tried to cast herself as a political warrior. However, her statement was met not with support, but with awkward laughter, further highlighting her detachment from reality. Dalton is now a town in crisis. Public services are underfunded, infrastructure is crumbling, and trust in local government has been shattered. Henyard's continued defiance is making things worse. The road to recovery will be long, and for many residents, the damage she has caused may take years to undo. Tiffany Henyard's political career now seems to be on the brink of collapse. With the weight of legal consequences and the mounting public outrage, her time in power appears to be running out. The only question that remains is how much more damage will be inflicted before she is finally forced out of office. Henyard's tenure as mayor has spiraled into chaos, especially with the escalating tensions between her and the township leadership. In a move that only served to widen the rift, Henyard filed a lawsuit against the trustees for holding meetings without her, exposing the deep dysfunction and toxic environment she has fostered. What should have been routine sessions focused on governance and progress have instead become spectacles of disorder and frustration. At one recent meeting, a resident openly called for her resignation, labeling her leadership disgraceful. Instead of acknowledging her role in the town's instability, Henyard once again portrayed herself as a victim, deflecting blame onto the trustees and refusing to take responsibility for the turmoil surrounding her administration. One particularly troubling controversy involved an improperly registered foundation allegedly created to support local causes. When questioned about its finances and operations, Henyard claimed she had no knowledge of the organization's activities or how much money it had raised, an assertion that only fueled suspicions about the integrity of her leadership and decision-making. Meanwhile, the FBI's investigation into her conduct continues to intensify. As the probe deepens, even some of her most loyal supporters are beginning to question her motives. Her inner circle is shrinking, and the cracks in her authority are becoming more apparent. Despite the mounting pressure from both federal authorities and the public, Henyard remains defiant. In a recent Facebook post, she boldly declared, "They can try to tear me down, but I'm not going anywhere." Rather than offering reassurance to her constituents, The post only intensified public frustration, further alienating her from the very people she was elected to serve. With growing calls for accountability and the looming federal investigation, Henyard's refusal to step down raises serious questions about how long she can continue to resist the inevitable. Will her defiance simply prolong her time in office, or will the mounting pressure finally force her out? The situation is nearing a breaking point, and both the residents of Dalton and Thornton Township are watching closely, eagerly awaiting resolution. Once seen as a promising leader, Henyard's legacy is now tainted by allegations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and an apparent obsession with consolidating power. The lingering question is not if her downfall is imminent, but when, and how much more harm will she cause before she is finally removed from office. As the investigation continues, the people of Dalton and Thornton Township can only wait, hoping that justice will soon prevail and that their community can begin the difficult process of rebuilding after the damage she has caused.